Today's daily recap for BTG Beyond the Gates is for Wednesday, November the 12th, 2025. Wednesday. Um, you know what? It was an okay day. Naomi is still there packing up stuff. She was there with Ashley, and Ashley's like, maybe I was too hard on Derek, and Naomi's like, no, you weren't. Oh, she just kept egging on. After what he did, my whole thing is leave Ashley alone. Now that Ashley was rejected by Andre, she's going to turn back to Derek because Ashley's like that. Ashley was with Derek, still thinking of Andre, but with Derek, but can't commit to Derek. So now Andre is taking himself off the table. Ashley's going to be, well, and what Naomi said is, look, because she told her, Andre and I did talk. And she says, okay. And he told me he was falling in love with your mother. And their marriage is, turning into a real marriage. And Naomi said, and I've witnessed it firsthand. So she goes, and then she goes, there would be no me and Andre. And Naomi's looking like, yeah, there better not be. Because I already talked to you about that, right? So she goes, I'm just wondering, was I too hard on Derek? And Naomi said, Ashley, you're just free to find another guy. That's all there is. You're a wonderful person, and somebody else is going to treat you the way you deserve to be treated. So anyway, Derek is at the therapy place. I mean, at the hospital for therapy with Shanice, and he comes wheeling in. She goes, Derek, you're early. And I have to finish the nurse's rotation schedule. I will be done when it's time for our actual appointment. And he says, I know I'm early, but I want to trade this wheelchair in. And she's like, what do you mean trade your wheelchair in? That wheelchair fits you. And he goes, not anymore. And he stands up. And she said, wait, what? You can stand? And he goes, I want to trade it in for a walker. So then they do show them in the therapy room and he's doing some muscle work with his leg and she's like, "Oh my God." So does Ashley know? Yep. And he goes, "Then why are you here? Why you guys aren't celebrating?" He goes, "Well, after I talked to you, I kind of took to heart what you said that I should tell Ashley." And she goes, "Okay, good." But I didn't get a chance to because she walked in on me standing up. And Shanice is like, "Oh, okay. Aren't you going to say it? Aren't you going to say, I told you so?" She goes, I might be thinking it, but I'm not going to say that to a friend. So he looked, he goes, it's whatever his little pity party is. And then I fast forwarded the rest of that because I'm like, I don't want to hear him say, I thought it was a good. No, please, you're getting what you deserve, Derek. You're getting what you deserve. And that's all I care about. And Ashley and Naomi were going to try to take his ugly chair to the curb until they realized how heavy it was, and they're like, "Oh no, that ain't gonna work." So when Derek left there, he came walking out the exercise room with his walker, and Ashley's getting off the elevator, and she goes, "Derek, you're walking," and he says, "Yeah, looks like it." She goes, "Well, that's good. Congratulations for you. I see your legs have gotten really strong now." And so she goes, I have to get to Mr. So-and-so's room, some patient. She just walks off. And he's like, oh. He wheels himself slowly to the elevator. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you whiner. So he goes to Ashley's apartment, and Naomi's still there. And oh, she kind of bashes him, right? She goes, "Oh, I see you out your wheelchair. Huh, okay." You know, and she goes, and while I'm still trying to pack your stuff up, she goes, you need to do Ashley a favor and have all your stuff out of here before she gets off work, because she doesn't need to come home and still see it here. He goes, I'm gonna have some of the guys from the station come and help and take old whatever. He has a name for his chair and out. And she goes, good, because if you don't, I can't tell you what condition that chair is gonna be in. And she just looks at him, right? And he goes, no, no, I will. And can you give Ashley this? He gives Naomi the key to Ashley's place, and she goes, I sure can. So anyway, she said some other things to him that just didn't really matter to me. Um, then we had Anita. Anita and Vernon were having breakfast with Danny at the club, congratulating her on the new contract, and they wanted to follow her home. Andre was there packing up some of his stuff in a suitcase, and they go, we know you got to catch a plane, but they had something they want to say, so she takes him back home, and she goes to Andre, and he goes, ooh, wants to, get a little frisky. She goes, we're not alone. He goes, who's here? So he goes downstairs, and it's Anita and Vernon, and they just tell him that, we know we gave you both grief when we first found out about this, but we're happy to see you two together as a couple. It really seems to be working. And we wanted to congratulate you, on what you're embarking on in LA. And Vernon may have told him, how's it gonna feel to be a superstar? And Andre says, well, I'll do anything for Danny. Um, it'll be worth the risk. And they're like, I think maybe Anita said, wait, risk? What does that mean? And Danny's kind of looking like, he goes, no. He says, there was a risk that I was afraid to take, when taking things to the next level with Danny. The risk was alienating her from you, because I know you both didn't approve in the beginning. And Anita says, and because you're thinking of us like that, you are a welcome addition to the family. So anyway, after they leave, he tells Danny, well, you do know I still need to pack up a few things at my place for the trip. What you say, I meet you at the gate. And she goes, listen, we could still back out of this. And he looked at her, he goes, Danny, I thought we settled this. I don't want to back out of our marriage. She goes, I'm not talking about our marriage. I'm talking about this whole LA modeling thing. We can back out. And he said, Danny, I told you, you, I'll do anything for you. I'm doing this for you. It's worth the risk. She goes, see, there you go. You're saying that word risk again. You need to spill. Now, he dodged the subject and said, look, we have got to catch this plane. And uh, he may have made a joke, kind of like the risk of looking second fiddle to you or something. And he goes, I'm going to meet you at the plane, so hurry up. I mean, at the gate, so hurry up. She goes, okay. So he goes home and he's at the gate, and Danny's zipping up her suitcase, and he's sitting there, and he ends up taking a selfie and sending it to her, right? And so she sends a voice message back saying, I'm on my way. And she's smiling. But then somehow either she gets a text from someone, something happens, because her face, as she's reading it, she's like, so she gets to the airport in the last scene, and he goes, okay, Danny. where's your stuff? I mean, I know we still got time before our plane is leaving, but she goes, no, it's off. And he goes, wait, what's off? We're not going to LA. We're not going to do the contract. And he goes, wait a minute. Why? And she says, Andre, when you think about it, you understand why. And he's looking at her, and I'm thinking, well, that's awfully cryptic because I don't understand why. What you talking about, Danny? So probably tomorrow, either she saw something in his past or something's going to happen. There's going to be something, and part of me is I was wondering how are they really going to do this whole superstar, you and Forster creation, you in LA. I was going to try to see, are they really going to get that going? Right? We'll see. We'll see what Danny's reasons are. Because I could have swore from what says scenes of next week, they're in LA and she said, let's get this honeymoon started. So there, she may have seen something else causing her to say, I shouldn't force him to do that. We'll see. I don't know. But it was just kind of cryptic what she said to him. And he's just looking at her. But Andre's past is going to come to bite him. I feel it. And it's going to come with a vengeance. Vengeance. Okay, so now Ted, Kat's trying to take marketing pictures of this new purse and it's not going right. She's knocking stuff around and pissed off. And Ted walks in. And so she goes, you haven't heard a knocking? He goes, door was half open. So he comes in and he says, he's talking to her and she's giving him grief uh, in cat style. And Ted is so calm, he's still talking to her. And she goes, you sure you got time to be here trying to talk to me? I'm sure Eva is somewhere waiting for you to come see her on bated breath so she can what's it like deceive you or whatever she's con you. And he goes, it's not like that, Cat. It's not like that at all. And so he says, and bottom line, your statement of I only have one daughter now, he says, Cat, you have always been my daughter and you always will be my daughter, and I love you. And so she's like, yeah, but you seem to be, everything is Eva, no matter what she did. She came here with the intentions on blowing up the same old things. And he goes, yes, she did. But you have to understand, she was raised to believe I wanted nothing to do with her when I knew nothing about her. He says, Cat, she is your sister. She is no sister of mine. He goes, she's your sister. She's my daughter. And had I known that Leslie did not get or Dana did not get an abortion, and I had a child, he says, Cat, she would have been raised from a little girl up knowing me and you and our family, whatever consequences would have happened back then. Eva did not get the um, privileges that you had growing up. She didn't get the good schooling that you had. She didn't get the good life, privileged life that you had, that you know what? That you and your brother take for granted. He goes, so yeah, I am trying to make up for some of that. And she goes, she doesn't deserve any to be made up. She wants my life so bad. And he goes, no, I think you have it wrong, Cat. She doesn't want your life. She wants a place in our life. Well, she will never, ever be a part of I will never recognize her. He goes, and I'm sorry to hear that. because it's not either or. Either, you or her, you're both my daughters. And I love you both. And she's looking, and he goes, Cat, you have always been my princess. And he takes her hand. He says, that's not going to change. That's not going to change at all. So she hugs her father and she goes, well, you're not going to get the answer that you want because I will never recognize her as my sister. I will never recognize her as a part of this family. And then he looked at her, he goes, then you're not going to get the answer you want because I'm optimistic. I choose to remain optimistic about it that one day you two will have a relationship as sisters. Because I am definitely working to have a relationship as her father. Right? And he pretty much leaves because he's kind of like, you know what? It's a, you can be you. You're going to be you. I love you just as much as I always have. Because he goes, she's taking my place. He goes, there's no taking anybody's place, Cat. She took my job. He goes, you know it didn't happen like that. Because he knows Cat was quitting to open up her own. And he didn't go into that hole. He goes, you know it didn't happen like that. She came in here earlier and she shows you one side of herself, but shows me something completely different. Isn't that just Cat? Although realistically, when it comes to Eva's name even being mentioned, Cat shows everybody her behind. So I guess I can't say that. Cat just, whew, right? I I can understand exactly what she's saying. Eva was in on this with her mother. She was. But they were all there at the anniversary party when Eva found out that Ted didn't know she existed, that Dana was supposed to have had an abortion. Mm, that does make a difference. So anyway, that is it with uh Ted and Kat, you know. So she'll still just pout and stomp. Eva was having breakfast with her mother, and Jan shows up. And Eva was just telling her because she was saying, oh, okay, how'd the surgery go? Telling Leslie, how'd the surgery go? She goes, went fine, Mama. And what did Ted say about after I, was the benefactor, the sugar mama? She goes, we all were excited, including Mr. whatever his name was. I mean, that was a very generous thing to do. And then she's like, but tell me again, tell me the story. And so she goes, Mama, oh my God, I've told you so many times. She goes, you could never tell me enough times. She goes, I hope you're not going to try to use you supposedly doing a generous thing so that you could hold that over Ted's head. She goes, no, I told you. Ted and I were friends in the beginning before. We weren't just hot and heavy. It worked to that. And I just want to rekindle our friendship again. She goes, all right, Mama, but it's not going to end the way you want it to end. So then Jan comes and sits down. She goes, oh, I haven't been in here and oh, I can't think of when. And Leslie says, well, you work for Nicole, the Dr. Richardson, so you would have thought you'd have been in here having a breakfast or lunch. Who takes their maid to the country club? I don't even see Mona there. Okay, unless it's a meeting that they're taking. Uh, their assistants too. No, they don't come to the country club. So anyway, she was like, "Oh, they make these great Belgian waffles," because they're talking, and Eva's looking and just hearing Jan pretty much co-sign everything Leslie's saying, right? I'm thinking because Leslie's buying her stuff. So when Leslie tells her, "Look," because she told her, what's going on with you?" And she says, "Oh, Derek and Ashley, they broke up. I was rooting for those two." And then she tells them why, and now Ashley feels betrayed. And Eva's like, "Who pretends to be paralyzed?" And Leslie's like, "Ooh, man, there's probably a space in hell for him, for doing something like that." And Eva looks across at her mother. She goes, "Yeah, you know a little bit something about that." And Leslie looks at her and she goes, "You know what, Jan? I got something for you." That's when she mentioned the Belgian waffles and said, "I'm gonna have the cook you up one." So she leaves, and Eva says, "Jan, don't egg my mother on about a relationship with Ted." She goes, "What are you talking about?" Her goal is to get back into a relationship with my father. She goes, "She hasn't told me that. She just wants to be friends with him." She said, "Jan, don't you know you can't believe everything that comes out of my mother's mouth? You need to really look at her actions, not just what she says to you." She says, "Look, I asked." She goes, "Well, you asked me to be friends with her." She says, "Yeah, not to be a blind one, though." She says, "I can't watch her 24/7. I need you to be able to give her some sound advice when she needs it." So she goes, "I mean, I'm just saying, I don't feel there's nothing wrong with just wanting to be friends with Ted." So then Leslie comes back with the waffle and she takes the plate off. And I'm thinking, what is all that stuff up on top of that waffle? Oh my God, I couldn't eat that. And Ava had her little fork ready to get her a little piece of that too. And Jan starts to eat it. Um, but anyway, Ted comes after he leaves uh Cat, and they're like, "Well, what's going on, Ted?" Or Leslie may have said that. He goes, "Oh, just had a meeting." And so she goes, "Oh, everything okay? Everything's fine." He says, "Listen, I meant to thank you for funding Mr. I'll just say Lindquist's surgery. It really meant the world to them." And she goes, "Oh, Ted." And she grabs his hand because he's standing up. She's sitting down. She grabs his hand. "I was happy to do it." And when she grabs his hand, Eva glances at Jan, like, mm-hmm. And Jan looks and she kind of looks at Eva like, "Oh." And then Leslie lets the hand go. She didn't, like watch the two of them and let it go. She just held his hand. "I was happy to do it, Ted." And then she let go. Anyway, I knew she was going to do that. And she's not going to let nobody forget the fact that she's spending all her money and money she don't have. When she don't have it, Ted is going to be the first person she come back to. When she gets broke before her next installment, she's going to say, "Well, I gave a whole bunch of money to help your patient. You could at least give it back." What? Because running out of money is coming. I think that is it. Yeah, nothing else happened today. So we'll see what Danny means tomorrow. With when you think about it, you understand why. I'm interested because I still don't understand why, y'all. All right, I'll be back tomorrow with another daily recap of BTG Beyond the Gates.